Okay, Joe, now the governor has a proposal for his budget on raise the age, and you have your proposal. How are they different from the governor's?
Well, I can cite a whole host of different things, but again, as I told Mr. McKevitt, he does have a different bill, and the Senate has a different bill, or at least if the Senate has a bill at all, they would have a different bill. But they might not be interested in our bill, and I think the governor is more interested in a compromise. So his bill is not exactly the same as what we would like to see in a bill, because we think there are more reasons to have other crimes and different variations to get youth the opportunity to get treatment that they don't now get and will not get in the adult court.
Yeah, and now under your bill, the consent of the DA is not necessary, right, to go to family court on a host of crimes, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And some of the crimes we're talking about...
And do you want to know the reason for that? Because I can give it to you if you want to know.
Yeah, we'll talk later, Joe. Let me get through my part, and then you can tell me whatever you want. These are some of the crimes that go straight to family court, correct? Gang assault in the first degree.
Goes straight to family court? I don't know. Yes, it does.
Criminal sale of a firearm in the second degree.
Yes.
Gang assault in the second degree.
Yes.
Criminal possession of a weapon in the third degree.
Do you want me to read the list that I have that don't go to family court again?
Oh, I'm going to get to them in a minute.
Okay.
Really. I'll get there.
Because I know that there are a list, and the list is there for a particular reason, because we've made a determination that you may disagree with, that some of these crimes and the youth that commit them are better suited for the family court, not because of the nature of the crime, but because we believe that they can get help in the family court to correct their ways as opposed to the adult court.
Yeah, that's part two of this debate, Joe.
Okay.
If I can finish here. Menacing a police officer, correct? Straight to family court.
Yes.
Criminal possession of a controlled substance, first degree, straight to family court.
Yes.
Criminal possession of controlled substance.
Yes.
Okay.
And all of these, by the way, are with secure detention.
Right. Criminal possession of a controlled substance, second degree. Criminal sale of a controlled substance in the second degree. Correct?
All of them.
Right. Criminal mischief in the first, grand larceny in the first, criminal possession, stolen property. Right to family court.
Right to family court.
Tampering with a witness. Right to family court, right?
Right.
Unlawful manufacture of a methamphetamine, straight to family court.
Yes.
Manslaughter in the second degree, straight to family court.
They're crimes that go to family court,
Right.
just like other crimes that go to family court.
Vehicle manslaughter in the first degree, straight to family court. Criminal
manslaughter
sale...
in the first degree is not one of them. It's on my list.
Okay. Criminal sale of a firearm to a minor, straight to family court. Burglary in the third degree, straight to family court. Criminal possession of a weapon on school grounds, straight to family court.
No, that's not true. You got the wrong list. You're on my list now.
Okay. How about sex trafficking?
Adult court.
Adult court?
Yes, sir.
I think you better double check that. Facilitating a sexual performance of a child with a controlled substance or alcohol, straight to family court.
That goes to family court.
Family court.
Adult court.
And by the way,
Doesn't matter.
if they do that, they don't go on the sex offender registry list, correct? And they don't have to supply DNA. Is that correct?
They can be placed up to 21 in a juvenile facility, up to age 21 in a secure
I'm talking about
facility.
the sex offender registry list. They do not have to register as a sex offender, correct?
Juvenile delinquents do not register. That's the family court.
Right. Now, we're talking about somebody that is 1 day short of their 18th birthday, right?
I
For all of these
understand,
crimes.
Mr. Graf, I understand that you don't want to raise the age. But if we're going to treat 16 and 17-year-olds by the standards of what goes on in our juvenile court, the family court, there are going to be certain things that are going to happen that you're not going to like.
Well, we let
And they're treated
16-year-olds
like juvenile
drive, right?
delinquents, like they should be.
Right, but that's not my question, Joe. My
Well,
question
it sounds
is,
like it is your question.
they don't have to register as a sex offender, and they don't have to give DNA, correct?
They're being sexually abused most of the
No.
time?
Facilitating sexual performance by a child with a controlled substance or alcohol.
Most of the time, these children, young adults, are being abused themselves, and that's why they're in that particular line of business.
Yeah, but they don't have to register as a sex
That's
offender.
correct.
Okay.
They're treated like juvenile delinquents in
All
the
right.
family
Use
court.
use of a child in a sexual performance, straight
Same
to
thing.
family court. And they don't have to register.
Yes.
And promoting an obscene sexual performance by a child, straight to family court.
Right.
And they don't have to register. Okay. Now let's get to your other ones that would go to the youth part of the criminal court. Okay? The crime of terrorism, aggravated assault upon a police officer or peace officer, aggravated manslaughter in the first degree, criminal
Right.
possession of possession of a chemical or biological weapon in the first degree, criminal possession of a chemical or biological weapon in the first and second degree, and predatory sexual assault. Now, these would go to the youth part of the criminal court.
Yes.
However, there is a vehicle where these cases can get sent to family court.
Yes.
All right? So even though we say they have to stay in criminal court, there is a vehicle where, second-degree murder, your whole list of that you want to give us as far as second-degree murder, terrorism, and everything else can go to family court. Correct?
Yes. That's the purpose of this bill.
And now, just to clarify, when we're talking 16 and 17-year-olds, we are talking about an individual who would fall into this is somebody that is 1 day short of his 18th birthday. Correct?
You got to have a close-off date somewhere.
Okay, and we're also talking about, when you're talking about first-degree rape, there's a vehicle to bring first-degree rape to family court.
Not in this bill.
Well, no. Check again.
Oh, yeah, the judge can decide that.
Okay, and without the consent of the
Right.
DA, it can go to family court.
That's right.
And what we're talking about
The
with
DA has to be heard, but there's no
Right.
consent. And I'll give you the reason why now.
All right, well,
because the DA never consents. That's the reason.
well, there might be a good reason for
To
that.
any case.
Yeah,
to
but
go
there
to
may be a
family
good
court.
reason for that. Now, when we're talking first-degree rape, we're talking about a child that's under 10 years old, correct?
No. Juvenile is,
First-degree rape. I'm talking about the victim. I know, on all of these bills here, we're not saying anything about the victims, okay? We're talking about the poor, misguided criminal.
yeah.
But we're not mentioning the victims in this case. So here, let's mention the victim. First-degree rape is a child under 10, correct?
Yes, that case goes to adult court, first of all.
But it has a vehicle to go to family court. And if it
After
gets
a hearing
adjudicated,
and mitigating circumstances or aggravating circumstances are given to the judge.
yeah, so we're talking about a person 1 day short of his 18th birthday raping a 6-year-old, that there is a vehicle that this could go to family court. And say, hopefully it'll never happen, but say it does. And he winds up in family court. He gets adjudicated in family court. If it's adjudicated in family court, he's not convicted of a crime, correct?
Correct.
And because it's in family court and he's adjudicated in family court, he would not have to give a DNA sample, correct?
Correct.
And he would not have to register on a sex offender registry list, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So now, we know that a youth, say 17 years old, or one day short of his 18th birthday, and if he sells a gun to another student on school property, he goes right to family court, right?
Yes. No,
And-
I'm sorry. Not under our bill. When you're saying goes right to family court, you're assuming that the judge is going to allow everybody to go to family court. It's
Okay.
only the DA that doesn't allow now the judges to send anyone to family court.
All right, criminal possession of a weapon on school grounds, that goes right to family court?
No. Goes to adult court.
Can you double check, Joe?
Yep. Just did.
All right. So, all right, let's go to the tampering with a witness. It's also tampering with a juror, correct?
What section is that?
Section of law,
Yeah.
215.13.
I don't even have that on the list, so. Doesn't seem to be on our list, so it probably does have the opportunity of the judge to send it to family court.
Well, I think this goes directly to family court, Joe.
Okay.
All right. So if I have a 16-year-old gangbanger and another gang member is on trial, okay, and he has a witness against him, and the 16-year-old goes out and beats up the witness,
Okay.
and he gets arrested for that, right, or terrorizes the witness or tells the witness that bad things is going to happen to them if they testify,
Yeah.
all right, they go right to family court, right?
Yes.
And he goes to family court, they let him out, and he can keep doing this over and over and over again. And there is no limit on this, right? He can just keep going out there and tampering with witnesses, tampering with jury members, and they'll just keep sending them to family court, correct?
He's going to be locked up. He's in placement. He's not going to be tampering with anybody.
Okay. But he won't have a criminal record.
After it's all over, no.
Okay. And gang assaults. So he's
Yeah.
involved in a gang initiation where they're assaulting potential gang members, right? Or beating up somebody to get them to join a gang, right? He'd go to family court.
Yes.
All right. If
But
he's
Mr.
on this,
Graf, you do understand that juvenile delinquents now and juvenile delinquents, if they are going to be juvenile delinquents when they're 16 and 17, are going to go to jail. We just don't call it jail. We
Yeah.
call it placement
but
in
Joe,
a detention facility.
also with this, these
You
records,
realize that, though, don't you, Mr.
okay,
Graf?
these records are sealed, Joe, and now later on, all of a sudden they become 18, and the first time they get arrested, and they're going to be treated like an adult now, okay? The family court
right.
records are sealed, and the DAs aren't going to be able to see whether this person has a violent history or not,
No,
correct?
the DAs, just others will not be able to see it. The DA will be able to see the prior records.
Okay, I don't think so. But okay, I'll take your word for it. Joe,
I can read.
all right, thanks, Joe.
Okay.
I appreciate it. On the bill?
On the bill, Mr. Graf.
Yes, what you call raise the age here, I call the Gang Recruitment Act, okay? Because this is a great tool to be able to recruit younger members, you know, of our community to enter gangs. It's also great when they're sitting on, you know, to put 16 and 17-year-olds on the street to sell heroin, to sell guns, okay? To turn around and have sexual performance of a child and all these other horrific crimes. All right? They can go out and tamper with witnesses in criminal cases. They can tamper with jurors. And the poor little misguided criminal, we're not going to hold them accountable. This is a great idea, folks. All right? This one, you know, again, we're finishing up here with the anti-law enforcement package for the last couple days. And this bill is horrific. And it doesn't keep our communities safe. This is one, you know, and how about the victims? We keep talking about the poor criminal, all right? The person who is terrorizing their communities. We don't say anything about the victim. We don't talk about the little child that was molested. We don't talk about the person that was going to testify in a trial and got harassed and everything else. We're worried about the poor little criminal. Maybe we should just do away with any type of holding facilities, and we can get a bunch of safe spaces where they can pet a puppy, and maybe they won't rob grandma next week. I encourage everybody to vote no on this legislation. Okay, this is going to make our communities unsafe. And, think of some of the crimes I just told you about. Is that really what you want to do in the state of New York? It's unbelievable. This has been an interesting week, and I'm sure it's going to get a lot more interesting before the day is over. You can expect me to vote no on this legislation. Thank you.